All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It is officially afternoon. So can everyone hear me okay? Good. My name is Dan Stackhouse. I'm the Director of Development for the Library of Virginia Foundation. It is my great pleasure to have you all here today, to welcome you all to the Library of Virginia. Just quick show of hands. Anybody here at the Library of Virginia for the very first time in the building? Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we are very glad to have you. I'm assuming any more people who've never been to a book talk before? A few more people. Wonderful. Well, we are glad you're here. We hope you will come back. The book talk series has been a great way to welcome a lot of new folks down to the Library of Virginia. I hope you will stay. I hope you will explore, and I hope you will come back. Just a few little housekeeping things before we welcome our guest of honor here today. We will be doing a book signing of First Family, or any book you might have with you, out in the main part of the lobby after the talk. We'll just kind of be forming a line, first come, first serve. We do have books available for sale right outside in the lobby here, and then they may have a few copies in the Virginia shop as well. As I mentioned, I'm the Director of Development for the Library of Virginia Foundation. The Foundation is a private 501c3 that supports the efforts of the library. We do the things that the state either can't or sometimes chooses not to do, things like programs like this, the Book Talk series, a lot of conservation efforts, things like that. If you'd like any more information about how you can support the Library Foundation, we have our Semper Virginia Society, which is our membership society. Great benefits of being a member, including discounts at the Virginia shop and invitations to great events, things like that. I hope you will let me know. There's some information out in the lobby there. There's also information here in our Broadside magazine, which we have a few copies of out in the lobby. I think that's it. I hope, please turn off any cell phones, pagers, things like that, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to do that. And I think that's it. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Raymond McDowell with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. The Times-Dispatch is a wonderful media partner with the Library of Virginia. They are the media sponsor of our Book Talk series and have been wonderful partners on furthering the cause of literacy here in Virginia. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Raymond McDowell.
Thank you, David. The Richmond Times-Dispatch is a proud sponsor of the Book Talk, and we've been associated with it since the beginning of the program. I believe our marketing person has told us. And I will quickly move through Mr. Baldacci's introduction, because you want to hear him speak and not me. David is an internationally acclaimed best-selling author who shocked the publishing world when he burst into the scene with absolute power. Since then, he's written 13 additional best-selling works, including Total Control, The Winner, which was the first one I read. I come in the middle. The Simple Truth, Saving Faith, Wishing You Well, Last Man Standing, The Christmas Train, Split Second, Our Game, The Camel Club, The Collectors, Simple Genius, Stone Cold, and his latest blockbuster was The Whole Truth. He's also started a novel series for young readers entitled Freddie and the French Ones. One of the ones that was not mentioned was Divine Justice, which I'm not an avid reader, and I read that in 3 sittings, which is a record for me. And I've also read all but 2 of the books on the list, so you're absolutely on my favorite list. He's also won the 2005 Library of Virginia published People's Choice Award for Fiction for The Hour Game, and is a finalist for the People's Choice Award for The Whole Truth. Mr. Baldacci was born in Virginia, where he continues to reside. He received a Bachelor of Arts degree from Virginia Commonwealth University and his law degree from the University of Virginia. Before becoming a successful author, he practiced law for 9 years in Washington, D.C. as both a trial and a corporate attorney. His books have been translated into more than 45 languages and sold in more than 80 countries. All of his books have been national and international bestsellers, and over 60 million copies of his books are in print worldwide. He now participates in numerous charitable organizations and is currently the U.S. Ambassador for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. He also sits on boards at the Virginia Foundation for Humanities and the Virginia Commonwealth University. His greatest efforts are now dedicated to his family's own Wish You Well Foundation, supporting family literacy in the United States by fostering new and existing programs. Please welcome David Baldacci.
They treat me so well here. They got my Diet Coke, and I'm all ready to go here. Well, thanks for coming today. I know everybody's busy these days, and it's great to come to a library in the middle of the day and have some discussions about books and writers, and I really appreciate you being here. How many have heard me speak before, by the way? Okay, good. I just got back from New York yesterday, and before that I was in LA, so it's nice to be back in Virginia. After being in LA for any period of time, it's always good to come back to reality. I had a good trip out there as part of a book tour and also meeting film studios. And there's a production company. Even if they don't make the movie, I've already made, I've hit it so big with my kids, because the company that's thinking about adapting the Camel Club series to a series of franchise films also makes all the Harry Potter movies, the Heyday Productions. So we're going to be in England this summer, and the guy who makes all the Harry Potter movies, David Heyman, when he heard that, we were meeting Warner Brothers out in LA, and he said, well, we'll bring you up to the set and you can watch the filming of Deathly Hallows and meet the cast and come to Harry Potter Land. And so I emailed my daughter that, and the text I got back from her was a full page, just OMGs, 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 OMGs. And I finally, I've made it with my daughter after all these years. She's actually, we're telling people, yeah, my dad is a writer after all. Well, it was funny. It didn't start out that way. My kids were little. They're both teenagers now, but my daughter was about 5 or 6. If you asked her what her dad did for a living, she wouldn't say her dad wrote books. She would say, my dad signs books. That's all he does. I'm kind of embarrassed about it. But he writes his name in books and people pay him for that. My daughter was the only kid in kindergarten class who asked her dad not to come to Parents' Career Day. Because Jimmy's mom was a policeman and Susie's dad was a fireman, and she looked at me and said, what are you going to do? She said, Dad, you can't come to school and write in the books. You'll get a detention. Well, I didn't go, It's just, she must have passed this wisdom on to her little brother. The first time I took my son to a bookstore, he walked in and saw all the books and all the people reading, and his eyes got really big, and all of a sudden my kid started running across the store screaming at the top of his lungs, my daddy will sign any book you've got for $2. He's 13 now, and I think he still believes that, actually. When I was out in LA, somebody asked me a question, what's the worst event you've ever had, or the craziest thing that's ever happened to you out on the road, in the book tour or out in the book world? And I thought about it, and finally, it was an easy choice. The craziest thing that has ever happened to me out in the book world when I'm sort of being the author was a couple of years ago. I was invited to do the National Book Festival in Washington. I've done it 3 or 4 years. I'm going to do it again this year. It's a great festival. If you haven't been, please go. It's about 150,000 people over a day on the Mall in Washington, and you get to see a lot of great writers, all different genres. It's just terrific. The night before the festival, they always have a dinner, a formal dinner, black tie dinner at the Library of Congress, Thomas Jefferson Building, the Library of Congress. And all the authors go, and you wear your tuxedo, and big donors come to this. It's like 150 tables, and the big donors are there, and they get to sit with authors, and that's the payoff for helping to support the National Book Festival, and they get to talk to you and all that. So all the authors go, and it's like one author per table. So I got my table assignment. I was at table 3, so I'm looking through all this sea of tables trying to find my table. I finally find it, and they have little name cards of the people, so I'm going around there, and it's like, this guy, chairman of AT&T, and president of Target, and all these big monkey bucks. And then there was a woman here, and then me, and then a woman here, a name I didn't know, but it did say she was from Maine. And then next to her was President George W. Bush. So I was going to be at his table. Now, because he was going to be at the table, obviously the Secret Service had to come. And I saw the advance team coming from the Secret Service. And ironically enough, I knew one of the agents. She had worked with me on a book I wrote called Split Second. And I didn't know if it was protocol or not, but I walked up and I gave her a hug. And she frisked me so professionally. I still remember it vividly 2 years later. It was just it's quite remarkable, actually. But so anyway, the president came in right behind her, and we're sort of, still embraced, and he's kind of looking at me like, What the hell are you hugging my Secret Service agent for? Now, I had met George W. Bush when he was governor of Texas for the first time. And I knew him through his mother. I'd done literacy events with Barbara Bush. So we all sat down, all these people at the table. And the woman sitting next to me was very elderly, but wonderfully, beautifully dressed, beautifully coiffed. And I knew that everybody at this table had donated a lot of money. I don't know what it costs, to have dinner with the President of the United States, but it costs a lot. And it costs even more to have dinner with me. That last part was fictionalized, by the way. And I saw the President, I spoke to him, he talked back to me, and we were in a little bit of a conversation, and then I'm talking to the woman next to me. And the lady on my right, she turns to me and she said, "And why are you here?" But she was very nice about it. I said, "I'm one of the writers for the book festival." She goes, "Oh, okay. And what's your name?" And I said, "David Baldacci." She had no idea who I was. That's okay, lots of people don't. And she said, "Well, so what sort of books do you write?" And I said, "Well, like mysteries and thrillers." And she said, "I read a mystery one time." These things happen. It's She said, "Have you ever heard of Raymond Chandler?" I said, "Yes. He was a legend, and he's really huge back in the 1950s. He's a great writer." She goes, "Yes, I liked his book very much." I said, "I'm glad." And then I turned to the lady on my left, and I'm chatting with her, and like 5 minutes later, this woman, the elderly woman, grabs my arm, and she yanks my arm, and I turned to her. I thought, she was, ill or something. I said, "Are you all right?" She goes, "I've got it. I've got it. I just thought of it." And I said, "What?" She said, "I just thought of a way to kill the president." It's a good thing I had nothing in my mouth at the time that she said that, because I would have projected it across the table. I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "I just thought of a way to assassinate the president." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, you're a mystery writer. I thought you'd like to know." And I said, "No." No interest at all in knowing about